Hello, class. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to be in our regular classroom, and so I wasn't sure if I would have Tableau on the instructor station to get you started. So I'm recording this in case that's the situation, so at least I can demo it for you in the class by going to this video. So when you first, hopefully everybody has Tableau now on their machine. So when you first open Tableau, it should look like what you see on my screen right now. And so it's not loaded, right? This is just the blank page. So we want to search for data, and we're going to go to a Microsoft Excel file because that is where the raw data is from your textbook. It's an Excel file. It could be in other formats, but that's the format our textbook authors. So I'm going to click here on Microsoft Excel, and I'm going to go find the raw data. So wherever you put the raw data, the file is both on the website for the book, and it's also in Canvas under the module for Chapter 1. So save that somewhere on your computer, wherever you're going to do your classwork, and then you would click here and navigate to that file and open it up. So I navigated to the file, and there it is. And it preloads. So what do I mean by that? So it immediately analyzes the fields based on the default format. The default format is that each row is a different case, and that the column header, the top row of each column, is the name of the variable, the name of the field. If it's not set up that way, then you have to give it other instructions, but that's the normal format. So here it's noticing here that you have one flat file, which means that it's just one sort of spreadsheet tab. If you had multiple tabs and you wanted to connect them together, you would do a join here. You would drag a second table here to this blank screen, and you would join them based on a mutual field, customer data, customer ID, employee ID, whatever it is. Here we just have one tab. We just have one data set. So we're not joining into something else. Later on, we'll be joining into something else. And so it's saying I found one sheet, that's it. I have nothing to join it to because I just have one sheet. I don't have more than one. So anyway, it's giving you, and it gives you a quick preview of what's in here. And what's interesting here is it automatically senses the field type. And that's important. So this pound sign means it's a number, which means that you can do formulas and things like that on it because there's a number in here. If you see this, it means it's a date. And so then you can extract day and month and year from the date format if you just want the year. It knows how to pull out the parts of the date you want to look at. ABC means that it's alphanumeric. It means that it sees that as a category or a name of something. You can't add that up the way you can add numbers up. You can't get an average of bank names, but you can get an average number of banks. So if you want to do some calculation on this, you can turn it into what's called a measure or something numeric, and it will just do zeros and ones. Are you Bank of America, yes or no? It can do that. So Bank of America can be 1, and everybody else can be 0, meaning Bank of America, yes. It's called Boolean logic. So if some calculation or something you're doing is not working, that's a good place to look. Does it have the wrong field type? And you can change the field type within limits. Vendor city, it knows that that's a location, city, state. So that's good. Cost center is a number. So not all numerical fields are dollars. So here, cost center is just cost center number. It's not dollars. So anyway, here's some reference numbers and some dates, and you can sort of look at all that. But we can also just go to sheet 1 here, down at the bottom, and we can actually see all the fields. So it thinks these ones that are numbers and globe locations are measures. And then everything else is labels. or groups or categories, things that are non-numeric. Although vendor ID is numeric, but it seems to understand that that names something as opposed to being something you would calculate. And it can be wrong. You can always drag it down to measures and say, no, that's not vendor name, that's vendor activity or something else. So we have some tables here, some variables in our table, and we have some numeric, or what Tableau thinks are measures, possible measures that you could do a numeric calculation on. And then we have columns and rows. Sometimes this is called the shelf, and sometimes it's called the pill. Can you see the little dots at the top of that? So those are pills. So some of it's just learning the language of what Tableau calls things. So, and you can take something and you can drag it onto the shelf, and now you'll get vendor names. If you say, I don't want to go horizontal because it's obviously bleeding off to the right, I want to put on rows. Okay, you can put on rows, and there they are, all in numerical order. Lovely. You can change the order and so forth. Okay, and you can put a payment amount out there, and it'll tell you the payment amounts for each of your vendors. And you can sort of look, and it will give you a default visual. You can change the visual, but it defaults to what it thinks would be the most useful based on the kind of data that you've put on the two shelves. You can also go over here to filters, and you can put a vendor name into the filters and filter by only these 3 vendors, something like that. So, or these 7 vendors or something like that. So you can do things about that. On dates, you can filter to only look at December 2020, for instance. Let's say something happened that month. I just want to see that month. So in here, you can put variables in here and you can filter. You can do some other fancy things like color your graphs differently and that sort of thing. So you can add labels. So we'll get into some of the dressier parts of it as soon as we start getting into files. So I just wanted to give you a quick orientation to just loading this file into Tableau. Next, we'll move to looking at the Tableau case in Chapter 1.